Hello again, this is Carol Anderson, and I'm glad you're still with me on this extremely important topic. This is part 3 in the 3-part video blog series, so if you've not yet watched part 1 and 2, I'd highly suggest you go back to those 2 videos before watching this last one. Now, if you'll think back maybe 100 years or so when your grandparents or great-grandparents were children, we seldom heard of the diseases that we hear of today. People usually died from diseases like smallpox, tetanus, pertussis, tuberculosis, and other contagious epidemics or plagues. But since the advent of antibiotics and many vaccines, we seldom see people dying of these horrible illnesses anymore. Now, however, we have replaced those with a new variety of disease, the chronic degenerative disease, which starts imperceptibly and does most of its damage before it's ever diagnosed. Specifically, these primarily include stroke, affecting over 5 million people worldwide, heart disease with over 7 million, cancer at 8.5 million, osteoporosis around 25 million, Alzheimer's and dementia at 29 million, arthritis with 165 million, diabetes with 194 million people diagnosed, and it's estimated that another 50 million do not even know they're diabetic. And last but not least, obesity. Now, if you've seen my previous video, The Obesity Epidemic, you'll remember how obesity has become rampant in the United States. But worldwide, we have over 1 billion who are overweight, with 1/3 of those being clinically obese and 2/3 of the North American population on a diet at any given time. Even worse, we are now creating a population of overweight and obese children who are destined to have diabetes. Ironically, while we seem to be obsessed with losing weight, the problem continues to grow, no pun intended. Now, how could that be? Is there something we're missing? Well, yes, as a matter of fact, there is. But before we talk about that, let's go back and look at the relationship between obesity and chronic degenerative disease. If you add up the numbers from that previous slide, you'll see that approximately 500 million people worldwide are walking around or not with some form of serious chronic degenerative disease. When you think of your friends and family, how many people do you know who are probably 50 pounds or more overweight? Remember, what we think of as obese is really called morbid obesity and is 100 pounds or more overweight. And there's a reason it's called morbid obesity. So moving along, research has now concluded that every one of these diseases has at least a nutritionally based component and or is directly related to obesity. In fact, you increase your risk of these diseases by a whopping 80%, even if you're only in the mildly obese range. So inadequate nutrition appears to be at the root of disease. But Carol, you say, I thought you said oxidative stress was the cause of disease. Well, yes, you're right. I did say that, but there is a catch. What is also evident is that if the body is healthy, it's able to fight off disease because that's what it's designed to do. Therefore, if the cells are healthy, the body will also be healthy. And if the cells are properly nutriented, they will be healthy. Does that make sense? So, in reality, the cells of an obese person we know are not properly nutriented due to generally the poor quality of food that's being consumed. They are literally starving to death. So, in my next video series, I'll be discussing what decisions and actions go into creating health. You'll learn what mindset you need to be healthy and how it requires a specific perspective that most doctors do not even have, nor do they have training in. And finally, you'll learn the basic 3 legs to health. I hope you'll join me.